We had an IPO on Wall Street for $3 million. We had sold our first 3 franchises. And in January of 2007, I was diagnosed with a massive brain tumor. And I had to step out of the business for 6 months to take care of my health.
It's not what happens to us, but how we deal with what happens to us.
Knowing where you want to go, having a focus on what your goals are, setting the standards on what you are willing to accept and not accept, and sticking to those has been my rule of success in life.
If you want to create the life you're meant to live, you can't afford not to. It's never too late to start living the life you're meant to live. So if you're not doing it now, tomorrow, today is the day to do it. Okay, welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. And I'm joined by an amazing guest today. And I'm gonna do an interview here where it's gonna be a little different. We're gonna dig into some strategies as well as background. And so I want to introduce you to Jamie, and I'm going to give you a little bit of her background before we get into some strategies so you kind of get to know her. She's a world-class business leader. I mean, she's a speaker, a coach, elite business development expert, but she's got 2 decades of experience driving business innovation. She's been the co-founder of Market Area Real Estate Services, Franchise Market Magazine's Top 100 Franchise Concepts. I mean, between her elite knowledge of Infusionsoft, which most of you know as Keap, and her ability to partner with industry giants, she has got a background that will just help you to explode your business. But she's now taken a role as the CEO of Riff Social. And so she's helping clients harness this power of automation and social media ads for sales and marketing. And so I'm really excited to dig into not only her background, but the experience she has. So Jamie Gilleland, how are you doing today?
I am doing marvelous. Thank you so much, George, for having me. I love what you're doing with your podcast and how you're helping people. So I'm honored to be here.
Oh no, it's my honor as well. And I know that we have had, as we've talked over the last few weeks, some paths that have crossed, and we've been in this industry for a while, and that's one of the reasons why I can pretty quickly size up who kind of knows what they're doing and what they're not, when it comes to business. And you definitely have a handle on it. And I wanted to ask you, just as a foundational layer for a lot of people that don't know you or just joining us, what got you originally into the area of business and marketing? And then we can kind of talk a little bit about the niche that you were in business, but where was your background? What got you? Were you always an entrepreneur? Did you gradually get into it? What was the break there?
I gradually got into it. I started out in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, I've been around for a while. Actually, prior to that, I got my bachelor's degree in information technology, which is what they would call programming these days.
Yeah. Right.
And my master's in marketing.
So I love that.
I always tease, if Al Gore invented the internet, I invented digital marketing.
There you go. There you go. Well, no, yeah, exactly.
Before there was an internet.
Right.
But around the time the internet was being built, I was in Washington, D.C. I was selling hardware and software. I sold IBMs and compact computers and was working with the Beltway bandits, as we called them, which were all of the contractors for the government. So I was selling $2 million, $5 million deals in, 386s and 486s and the compact portables. Remember the ones that looked like
yeah
in the day, right?
We're all so spoiled now because we have this like mega computer in our hand, and most people don't even realize that. They think it's a way to check on their friends, right?
Exactly. The screen was 3 times that size in the portable. So
Jamie, it's funny because I literally record my podcast a lot of times now just with my phone, and it just goes to show you that like you have a better camera in your hand, you have a better computer in your hand, but anyway, so you've had the background where you and I had to do the heavy lifting for many years. And but what at what point did you start your own marketing company or agency? Because you've been doing that for a
Sure.
long time. So
So I was doing consulting, and I moved after 9/11. I was in the DC area. After 9/11, I was like, my daughter's school said they were going to quarantine them and we needed to send stuff. So if there was another attack, I'm like, hell, excuse my language, heck no, that's not happening. You know, I want out of this rat race. And we moved to Hilton Head, South Carolina, and I started consulting. And that's when I met a gentleman who had started the Market Area Real Estate Services, which was a real estate concept. And it
mm,
was a totally different concept than the standard real estate offices at the time. And he brought me on as a consultant, and then he brought me on as his COO and ultimately the CEO of the franchise corporation. And I wrote the franchise documents, I built the
wow.
business. You know, I was marketing, I was doing all the stuff. We had an IPO on Wall Street for $3 million. We had sold our first 3 franchises. And in January of 2007, I was diagnosed with a massive brain tumor.
Oh wow.
And
Yeah.
I had to step out of the business for 6 months to take care of my health. Well, even though I literally had written the book on how to run the franchisees, we had not put systems in place for running the corporate headquarters.
Your
And,
business. Yeah.
and it was the beginning of 2007. What was happening at that time? Real estate was crashing. The business failed while I was out. And so that got me focused on systems and automating things and creating a business that was built around my life, not my life around the business.
Oh man, that is good. That is really powerful because and I have to comment on two things because most of the biggest things that I've created or the people I've interviewed have come out of their biggest challenges. And
Mhm.
it's a common message people hear in personal development and business, but it's interesting to me that you pivoted into that directly into that challenge because not only did you have, and I have to ask you, did you got diagnosed with a brain tumor? Like how do you reconcile that when you're on a success trajectory and you're in a key position? Did you just have, because a lot of people have had this, excuse me, a lot of people have had this situation where they're doing really successful in business and something completely outside their control hits them. So we'll go
Yep.
back to automations if you're listening, I promise. But something completely out of left field hits them. And it's not what happens to us, but how we deal with what happens to us. So how did you deal with that? Because you had to have been thinking, my career is over. I'm going to lose my job. I don't have it. Like, how did you personally deal with that?
Well, and that's another whole podcast, and an aspect of uh, a speaking career and a book that I'm going to write that I'm going to
Mm,
call Option C, because first of all,
option
the brain
C.
tumor, Option C.
Okay,
Yep.
got it.
So the brain tumor, when they found it, it was there was a story behind that as well. I was in a car accident. Somebody rear-ended me, and I ended up with whiplash.
Oh,
Well, the guy that hit me, I was his fourth accident in 2 days,
oh,
and they arrested him on the spot. I swear, and I don't know what everyone's religious beliefs are, but I swear he was an angel on earth, because if he had not hit me and I had not gone to the doctor for the whiplash injury and they had not sent me for an MRI, I had no symptoms of this tumor. And it literally was the size of a golf ball pressing on my brainstem. I had less than
wow.
months to live. Yeah.
Jamie, this is crazy. This is a whole nother podcast, but
That's another whole podcast,
I can't
another
let this
story.
go just yet because there's so many principles in that in business as well. I mean, we talk about the idea that people, a lot of times they don't frame the situations that happen to them in a way like you're going back and looking at this now. Even in that situation, you could be saying, worst thing that ever happened to me, but you're using your present and future self to kind of define the past. And you're saying now that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I love that, Wayne Dyer talks about when you look back on the tapestry of your life, but even though you're looking back now saying the best thing that ever happened to you, you clearly at that point in time um, didn't let the challenge completely overwhelm you, and you both saw it as an opportunity to go into automation, but you also how did you get yourself back on track? Like, or have you always been just a positive person? Did you see that? Because
Well,
you didn't come out of that and say, oh my gosh, I detected this brain tumor. I'm sure this was the best thing that ever happened to me. At the time, you probably were really having a hard time, right?
well, the doctor said to me, you have less than 6 months to live.
Oh,
My daughter was 10 years old. My twins were 6 years old at the time. And I said to the doctor, I've got kids that I'm not abandoning them. That doesn't work for me. What
mm,
options do I have? And he said, well, the only option, there is a surgery you can have, but with the size of your tumor and the type of tumor I had is something that normally people get in their 70s and 80s, and
mm.
it's been growing their whole life. And I was had just turned 40. And he said, the size of your tumor is bigger than any I've ever seen, and you have less than a 20% chance of making it off the operating table. I suggest
Wow.
you get your affairs in order and enjoy your last 5 or 6 months, and that's it. And I looked at him in shock and said, nope, I'll take option C, hence the title of the book. And
I
he
can't wait
said,
to hear the punchline.
there is no option C. I said, sure there is. You're going to do the surgery. I'm going to survive, and I'm going to see my kids grow up and get married. One of my twins got
Wow.
married last March.
That's
Uh,
amazing. Oh my
yes.
gosh. And yeah, I mean, my gosh, we're going to definitely have to do another podcast on this because
Yeah,
you're talking about not only creating your own option, but having the strength and discipline to pursue that. And of course, you had doubts and things, but you truly took this as an opportunity to see it the way you wanted to see it. So, and we've had a
exactly.
couple
And I think
conversations.
Yeah, and I think it's something, and since then, I've been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. I've done the same thing with Parkinson's that I did with the brain tumor. Um, and I've done this in business over and over. And I have another whole brand that talks about this personal development side. But knowing where you want to go, having a focus
Mm.
on what your goals are, setting the standards on what you are willing to accept and not accept, and sticking to those has been my rule of success in life so far.
I think
Um,
that that's a huge, huge thing for people. If they didn't really write that down, they need to. And that is when you do have direction in your life and you've got a set of standards that you're willing to put up with, not put up with, and you carry that into your daily rituals, when
mhm,
things come up, you're better prepared to deal with them.
exactly.
It's not about trying to find your direction after things come up. And that's the reason I'm such a big proponent in our podcast and our community of mindset, business, and then other things, lifestyle and whatnot. And I think that most people, you said it there a minute ago, you wanted to plan your business around life, not life around your business. And I think that's how you said it. And
Yeah.
I think that's huge. And I think that's probably the other reason why you were able to find opportunity in the problem, because not only did you deal with a challenge in a situation, but you saw an opportunity in that for something you needed in the future, which is automation. And is that why you went down kind of that niche path of creating business automations and systems, and eventually worked with Keap, which was Infusionsoft, as many know, and
Right.
became one of their top partners? So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started in web design and building systems, and Keap Infusionsoft at the time kept trying to recruit me to work to promote their product, to be a partner with them. And at the time it was $400 a month. I'm like, my small businesses that I'm working with, they're not going to spend $400 a month. And I just kind of laughed. And one day I sat down with one of their partners and one of their employees, and looked at what it was. And I was like, okay, maybe this makes sense. And I started building systems, and I built my own first so that I could start going to the soccer games. I could go on vacation. I could enjoy my holidays and not be stressed about deadlines, things that had to go, because the system was running it. The leads that were coming
Yeah.
in were getting nurtured and managed and brought to me to talk to when they were at a certain level, not
Yeah.
every Tom, Dick, and Harry that answered the download or whatever it was.
Yes, yes.
Um,
You know what, Jamie, I want to make a comment here because it's come up a couple of times and you hit it, and I want to kind of mention this so people really take notice. A lot of people are struggling with the price points of their products, and I know this is a little bit of a diversion, but I think that what you found and what you said very eloquently is that because you started with the fact that the real problem for you is your lifestyle and that you didn't have a way to cover yourself. And so most people with their products are trying to say, I'm selling these features, advantages, and benefits. And at the time, Infusionsoft at $400 a month, that's a lot of money. And right now people might be thinking that's a lot of money unless they're seeing it through the lens of their problem. And the
right.
problem most businesses have is that they're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars by not having automations. Their life, what would your life be like? So when you start to position your product, and you saw this early on, but when you start to position your product as a solution to a much more costly problem, it doesn't seem expensive. And
No,
so that's the
it's
problem people
rough
have.
in the
And you were
budget.
like, look, my life is not, I can't spend time with my kid. Like, what kind of price could you put on that? Well, the average person, $400 is like not a lot of money to put on that. So I want to double down on that because we talk about automations and I love them. But a lot of people are like, well, can I afford automations? Can I afford systems? And what I would like to say is if you want to create the life you're meant to live, you can't afford not to. And
I
it's
was
more
going to
about
say
that cost, right? So
that's
with
my
that said,
answer as well.
it,
Yeah.
but you saw that kind of almost naturally because you were looking at your problem and trying to find solutions. I think a lot of people get wrapped up in the detail around it. So you had a lot of success with Keap and Infusionsoft. Um, what do you think most entrepreneurs struggled with when it came to whether it was justifying that cost or even implementing that? What was the big struggle with automation? Why doesn't every business do it? Like everybody knows that they got to have systems, right?
Well, yeah. Reminds me, I was interviewed once by Scott Martineau, who is one of the founders of Keap.
Okay.
And they had just changed, well, of Infusionsoft. He was the original programmer that wrote the system 20 some years ago. And it was 10 years ago when I started working with them. So I've been working with them for a while. And they had just changed the name to Keap. And I was one of the top salespeople that had sold the new Keap product versus the classic Infusionsoft.
Infusion.
And Scott, we were on a live broadcast, and Scott says, "Tell me, Jamie, how do you sell Keap?" And I looked at him in all seriousness and said, "Scott, I don't sell Keap." And his face kind of dropped like, holy crap, why am I interviewing this person on live
Wrong
broadcast
question.
who doesn't sell Keap? And I said, I sell the results they get with Keap.
Oh my gosh, that's the biggest soundbite that we could possibly have. You don't sell the product, you sell the result the product gives them.
Exactly. So, and that's been, again, one of my success factors over the years. People don't buy, and they will come up with objections. Well, is it Keap? Is it Salesforce? Is it Go High Level? Is it Constant Contact? It doesn't matter to me if I'm getting a result. I don't care if you're using unicorns and bubble gum to put it together, as long as I get the results I'm looking for.
Not only that, but it's a lot harder to differentiate yourself when you're selling features of a product, because right now, nowadays, everybody
Everybody
can do
sells it.
anything for almost kind of freaking free. So, but when you're selling a result, then you can position yourself clearly. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's pivot a little bit into where you're going now, because you've had a ton of success, and we're going to break down. I promise you, if you're listening, we will go back to her story in another episode, but we will also drill down deep into automations. But I really wanted to highlight, because we focus a lot right now for our community on authority and building credibility and brand and things like this. So it was very appropriate, and timing was very amazing for you and I to meet, because you've taken your expertise in automation and you've pivoted and you took a role. Even though you have a very successful business, you took a role as the CEO of Riff Social. So tell me real quick, what is Riff Social? And then tell me why you decided to take that role, and why you went that direction.
Sure, absolutely. Um, One of the things I've seen, and as a digital marketer, I've focused on email marketing, I've focused on funnels, I've focused on, content and all of that over the years, social media, organic postings, but I always shied away from paid advertising on social media just because it was such a nebulous,
And complicated too.
yeah,
Jeez.
complicated, and expensive.
Yeah,
And
expensive.
quite honestly, all of my companies and a lot of my clients over the years have bootstrapped. So having expenses that didn't work, it's easy to start an ad campaign and spend 20 grand and get a whole bunch of garbage leads and
Yeah.
not have anything to show for it.
Yeah.
And so I've always shied away from it from that reason. And when I met Bill and Bill Hillestad, who is we call him our mad scientist in the background.
For sure, for sure. You guys will meet him at some point. He is definitely a visionary.
Yeah, he's amazing. And when Bill told me what his vision was with Riff and showed me how we can take, first of all, organic posting on Facebook, on Instagram, on especially in the meta world. You may have, I have a professional profile, so I have 6,000 followers or whatever. But when I post something organically, maybe 200 of them are seeing it because the
Yeah,
way the algorithm works,
right.
it's, 3 to
Very few.
5%. Yeah. It's minimal. So when we're posting and we're not getting results, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
And what Bill has done is created a methodology to build your audience, build your authority, and get thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of views of your content, not the 40 or 50 that you're getting with your content today.
Yeah, I would even go further to say, and people know I'm pretty kind of analytical guy, and I'm a very I wouldn't say difficult, I would say very detailed guy. And so Jamie could reiterate this when she talks about how we communicate. But just so you have a real clear understanding, most of you are out there trying to do organic social. And on one hand, because you're like, it's free, I could go viral, what could I do? And that's good. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got paid ads, and you're like, oh my God, if you've ever tried to open up a Meta account for paid ads, that's where a lot of businesses are making money. But you've got this extreme, complicated, expensive, competitive ads. And then on this other side, you've got organic reach and posting. And right in the middle of that is like the perfect combination of Bill and Jamie, where it's automated Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Guys, listen to me. If you could do your social posting, which you do well, and you could do better and better and better, and you could have automated Facebook ads, it would blow your mind, because now not just a couple people are seeing your post, but thousands and thousands are seeing your post. And I think it's a brilliant combination of automation and Facebook, algorithm and metadata. And we all know Facebook knows more about you and your neighbor than you do
Yeah,
yourself, right? So let's be honest.
exactly.
So let me
Yeah,
ask
and
you
we're
this.
using
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say we're using AI in conjunction with the Facebook algorithm to find the perfect audience.
Yeah.
So we're not telling Facebook who we want to see. We're letting your content screen out who the right people are based on that, which is fascinating. And the other thing that really hooked me and Bill's all about hooks when we talk
Oh
about
yeah.
our
Oh yeah.
posts and our ads. But the thing that hooked me was we're doing this for a fixed monthly price. We
Yeah.
don't have to worry about surprises on our credit card from Facebook ads.
Yeah. You've definitely made it available to mainstream, and we'll talk about what kind of business owners really benefit from this a lot, entrepreneurs. But I can't emphasize enough for those of you that are listening. We talk about the idea that you got this mobile phone that's I mean, it's like a freaking NASA computer 20 years ago, and we don't utilize it to do what we need to do and create automations. Because guys, gals, we're building a business so that we can have more freedom, and we're just making our life more complicated. But Facebook has algorithms that literally have been billions of dollars put into this thing that can find your ideal client and target them and put them in front of you and do these things, and you're not taking advantage of it, and you're not, because it's complicated. And so you guys have done a really good job of making it simple, inexpensive, and you can kind of go whatever direction you want with that. But and I would add, you do an amazing job of education, because I think it is important for people to understand that as well. So here's a question that comes up a lot when you talk about organic reach or building a business. What kind of time frame are you talking about? Are you saying that you could have somebody start to get in front of thousands of people with their posts, over 6 to 12 months? Because I mean, typical search engine optimization or organic content growth takes time. Um, is that the same process with Riff? Like, is that the same process with these automated Facebook ads?
Yes and no. So, literally, the day you sign up for us, your first post after that, we will get 5 to 10,000 views on that post. Real eyeballs,
Mm,
not chat bots or
yeah,
AI or any of that. Real eyeballs on that post immediately. So, your video validation, your viralness of your posts happens immediately. Now, we all know, and we've been preaching this as long as I've been in digital marketing, the last 2 decades, the
yeah,
number has changed. It used to be you need 3 or 4 touches, then it was 7 to 10 touches. And now there's so much noise out there. You need, 15 to 30 touches, depending upon
yeah, yeah.
what it is you're doing. So when the way our Riff Social works is we have two parts. There's two sets of ads that we automatically create every time you create a post. And we want you to create more video posts because there's more engagement in videos than there are in static posts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when you post a video, for instance, we first off drive traffic. We find out you're a brick and mortar business, a
Mm-hmm.
real estate agent in Salt Lake City, right?
Yep.
Um, the first thing we do is we go outside of your market and we get live people to see your post.
Mm,
And that first ad drives the number of views up on your post.
got it.
And what that does is then 6 hours or so after your post has been set up, we've got 5 to 10,000 views. Well,
Mm.
when you look at a video, when you see a video, if it's had 2 views, how likely are you to watch it?
Yeah, not really. I mean, nobody sees it. Or if I'm looking to do business with a group, and I look and it doesn't have very many views. I'm like, ah, man, nobody even knows who they are,
Nobody
right?
knows exactly. So
It's too
it can be
bad, but you
pushed for
have to be
that.
validated, right? That's why you need the authority. Yep.
Exactly. So by driving the outside market and getting those 5 or 10,000 views, now when your market looks at it and says, holy crap, 5,000 views, I got to watch this. These people are
Yeah.
really important, right?
That's a huge part of validation of authority, right? If you're listening to this, and we're not talking about a lot. I mean, this is, very little. I mean, this might be 10, 20, 30, $50 a post, but you're driving thousands and thousands of views. You're increasing your authority and credibility. Then when your target audience starts to see you, you get better data, you get better engagement, you get better followers of your target market, right? Like that's the whole goal here,
Exactly.
is to build a
So
market.
yeah, so the first ad drives the video validation.
Okay.
The second ad drives it to your target audience.
Mm,
So this is when we're using the AI to find that perfect person that needs to watch your video.
got
Now,
it.
when Susie watches your video, comments on your video, likes your video, shares your video, or saves your post, we then, and watching the video, we make sure they watch at least 3 seconds. When they've done one of those 5 things, they're engaging with your post and we're tagging them as an audience member for you. So we're saying, hey,
Mm,
this person enjoyed or watched and engaged what you've got. We're putting them in the bucket of this is your perfect audience.
got it.
Then when your next video goes up, we do the first 2 ads as we were before, but we also then send it to retarget to that audience. So now every time you post, Susie's going to see your post in her feed.
Oh, yeah, got it. Got it.
So now we have touch 1, touch 2, touch 4, touch 6, touch 10. She's building, knowing, liking, and trusting who you are. You're becoming the best known name in your market for what you do, building authority. And she is now ready to either use you when she needs your services. So,
Right, right.
real estate agent, we're talking about maybe Susie's not in the market to buy a house right now, but Susie's at coffee with a friend who says, I really want to get a new house. And she's like, you got to call George. I've been
Yeah.
watching this guy. His videos are crazy. People love him. Give him a call.
That trust factor goes up, right? I mean, and that's another reason for video, obviously. I know there's been a lot of studies out right now recently where, just the fact that people can see your face and they see it often. That's, by the way, I love that about what you guys did. It's both subliminal and spoken. Riff stands for reach, impact, and frequency, because we know that trust increases when they see you. And if they see your face, there's been a lot of political studies done that the more often that people see your face, the more they trust you, even if they don't know you. And so I love that. I think that's really good. And when you tie in the fact that these automations can be presented, and you tie in the fact that you guys have a very solid strategy around what to do here, another thing that is a big benefit I recommend for people when they utilize Meta is you're building an audience. You're targeting people. You can retarget people. You can see who's looking at your ads and do that stuff. So you're crazy not to take advantage of that. So I know what I want to do is I'll put in the show notes some links to some content and some other things. But before we, kind of come to the end of our time, we try to keep it tight, most for entrepreneurs within like a 30-minute time frame. I wanted to just ask you this. What do you think is someone's never done Facebook ads. Maybe they don't even post a lot right now, but they know they've got to get in that game, and they've been hesitant to do it. Where do they start? Where's the first place for someone to start if they said, I want to get more seen. I want to get more visible. I want to get more going. Should I go start figuring out how to create content? Should I just start some ads with you guys? Like, what should I learn first? Where would you tell them to begin this
Sure.
process?
So two things. One, have a conversation with me. I can help build some strategy with
Okay.
you. So, and we'll set that up in the show notes. Two, we are offering on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock Eastern time
Okay.
a free training, which Bill is teaching or Christian. There are two amazing content people. By the way, Riff Social, you're doing the postings. Once you've done all of that and you've built an audience, we also do paid advertising.
Yeah, that's when you start to target your offers and
Exactly. So
things. Got
now
it.
we target exactly, we've built the audience. It's taken 3 to 6 months to build that target audience of 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 people, whatever we want. So yeah, so committing to a minimum of 10 a month is what I
Mm,
like.
per
Well, a
posting.
minimum is once a week,
Got it.
but the optimal minimum is 10 times a month. So every 3 days.
You know, I like that. And so I would just double down with that. And I'd say, listen, if you're thinking about growing your business and you're in this crowded marketplace and you know that AI makes everybody look like experts and you're having trouble getting seen, here's what you've got to know. Number one, you got to get in the game. You've got to start doing posting. And it's as simple as this: make a commitment, start getting educated. We'll put some stuff in the show notes so that you guys can follow some of the education they do. They do brilliant education, and make a commitment to posting a couple times a week. What'll happen is as you get comfortable, you'll post more often. Don't worry about your offers. Don't worry about your stuff. Just get educated and make a commitment to do it. And then I highly recommend automated tools, because if you don't automate it, let's be honest, most of you are so busy doing your business now, you're not going to do anything anyway. So if you can find a partner that can help you to automate, and there's so many things in your business to automate, that'll be huge. So what I think we do is this, Jamie. I know that you beforehand, we kind of talked about what you might be able to do for our listeners. And I, I almost am hesitant to throw it out, but why don't you kind of mention to them what you're willing to do? And then what I can do is maybe put in the show notes the ability for them to click through, add their information, get into your calendar, but tell them a little bit about what you were willing to do for people listening to our podcast.
Sure, absolutely. So seeing is believing, right? So if you have been posting and you've got preferably a video post, because as I said, they're most effective, that you want to see what Riff can do with, schedule a call with me. We'll talk about it, see what it is, pick the post, and we will send 5,000 views or 10,000 views and let you see what it is that we can do with this video validation. And then we can talk about how we help you do that with all of your posts.
Yeah, that is an amazing offer. If you guys don't take advantage of that, you're absolutely nuts. But here's the thing. I want to be really clear. This is not just to give you guys a freebie. This is designed to help you to see what you can do when you automate some stuff. If you were to post and they were to drive 5 to 10,000 views to your post, guys, it's a game changer. So here's what I'll do. I'll put a link in our show notes. You can go there, fill out a form so that she knows who you are, and then schedule a time to talk with Jamie. Because here's the thing. What I love about what they do is they want to make sure they're strategic. You know, they want to, what do you do and how do you do it? And what's your goal? What's your objective? And they're willing to, at no additional cost, drive 5 to 10,000. Now, guys, I'm not an owner in Riff. I don't have any vested interest in that, but this is an amazing opportunity. So if you're serious and you want to, fill out that form, get in Jamie's schedule. You guys can check out what she's doing. But here's what I want to leave you with. One of the most important things you can do if you want to really, truly create a business that's a lifestyle business and buy back some of your time, you've got to create automations. You got to get yourself around. The whole principle of the daily mastermind is aligning yourself with other people. Get around people like Jamie and Bill and their company that can help you to grow your business so that you can focus on what you do best. And that's going to be what also, by the way, happens to drive your performance of social media, is to focus on what you do best and be authentic and real with it. So Jamie, I really appreciate you being here. And I know we're going to have a follow-up to this. I'd like to also invite you over to our Academy Mastermind so that you can, drop some masterclass value in there. But Is there anything else that you would like to leave our listeners with before we take off? As far as any key takeaways or things they need to keep in mind, anything?
Consistency
Mm,
is what it's all about. Knowing where you want to go and being consistent with moving forward with it. Um, so that's what happened in my health issues. That's what happened in business issues. And that's what's going to make you successful at building an audience, building authority, becoming the expert in what you do. And we want to make it easy. As Bill says, shut up and post. We take care of the rest.
yes. Yeah. And I love what you said earlier in the podcast, create clarity in your direction, set your standards, and just start going. And so I think that's brilliant advice. I appreciate you being here. And listen, if this is your first time listening, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. Don't miss any episodes, and share this show. Let people know if you've learned anything, you've gotten any value, push it out for us so we know that we're sharing the message. And so with that said, as I always mention, it's never too late to start living the life you're meant to live. So if you're not doing it now, tomorrow, today is the day to do it. Let's get going, and let's make sure that we do whatever we can to help you. So thanks again. I appreciate you guys, and I'll look forward to talking with you on the next episode.